I turned 23 last month, and it was really an amazing time. It was a good time. I was reminded again about the love that I have in my life and how much beauty there is to life in general. The detailed notes and messages I got, people just really speaking life into me. That was so beautiful. I think it's so beautiful when people speak life into other people. I spent my birthday in Houston, which was even more fun. I was with my sister. She actually has her own vlog on her channel of part of the trip, and it was very exciting. I haven't seen my sister in a long time, so it was honestly amazing. Shout out to you, Angel, the Aquarius Queen. The one thing I remember a lot of people saying whenever I would tell them like, "Oh yeah, it's about to be my birthday," and they would ask me, "How old are you going to be?" and I said 23. One common thing that I heard from a lot of people, and they were older, was, "Oh my gosh, you're a baby." You think? Because I don't feel like a baby. Like, I really don't feel like a baby. To me, I'm over here thinking 23 is old. I'm over here thinking, oh yeah, I'm 21, I'm 22. I'm old. Because when I was 16, I saw being in my 20s as old. Okay, this is the time I have to like be serious and do serious things. You know, what do 20-year-olds do? We have to do all those things. Anytime I introduce myself to patients and I tell them, they ask me how old I am, and I tell them, oh, I'm 23, they're like, oh my gosh, you're a baby. I hear it all the time. And I'm like, you think? I really, like, I'm out here thinking that I have to achieve world peace by 25, but it just really goes to show like conditioning really makes you feel like you're running out of time as a young person. Even my friends in their late 20s, like, um, I was talking to one of my other friends and she was saying like, damn, like I'm in my late, she was saying that I'm really getting to my late 20s, and I'm like, you're so young. You're literally so young. We're the only ones that have this pressure on ourselves to be this thing at a certain age. Somebody who's in their 50s would, some people who in their 50s would kill to be 20s again, in their 20s again. Somebody who's in their 50s thinks you that you're 29, 30 is so young. Whenever I hear about people living completely different lives from their 20s, maybe they say, oh, I was a completely different person when I was in my 20s and now I'm in my 50s, and it's so much different. It really goes to show you how vast time is. I always preach about how we don't really have a lot of time on this earth, which yes, we really don't. I don't think you should not live your life to the fullest because you think you have all this time. At the same time, there really is also a lot of years to live on this earth. It's contradicting, but we're so young. We really are so young. Even you in your 50s, you are so young. If like I said, if you were, let's say your life was supposed to end when you were in your 80s, for instance, and I'm just going based off life expectancy, average life expectancy, you still have 30 whole years to live. You can do so much in 30 years. If you're in your 50s, the life that you feel that you didn't live when you were in your 20s, you still have about 35 years to do that. 35 years is a long time to achieve so much. If the life expectancy was 30, let's say we, as the average amount of years humans lived was just 30 years, we can still do so much in 30 years, you know? And hearing that over and over again from a lot of people on my birthday saying, "Oh, you're still a baby. You're such a baby." It was very it really made me look at life. It made me look at things differently. Where instead of having all this thoughts about wanting to rush life and achieve all these things and do all these things, there's so much time to exist. There's a lot of time to just be myself. There are people who start their lives over in their 60s and they live more fulfilling lives in the last few decades of their lives than they did for the past 50 years. Emotional suppression will quite literally kill you. I've talked about Dr. Gabor Mate before my channel. Anyone who's close to me, I would recommend checking out his work. He is an incredible man, one of the things that he talks about a lot in his conferences is about emotional suppression. He's a doctor and I'm a nurse. I take care of a lot of patients. And something I really noticed in the healthcare system when it comes to people with chronic illnesses, yes, sometimes the body just gives up or doesn't do what it's supposed to do. But a lot of times, I feel like a lot of conditions we see today are from environmental factors and not necessarily a physiological response. I do think physiology and environment are linked when it comes to our health. In nursing, there's a term we call frequent flyers. This term is used to refer to patients who consistently are getting admitted to the hospital, so they're in the hospital so much that they're frequent. We know them, we know their condition, we know why they're here. Once we see their name on the admission board, we already know, oh, I know this person, right? And something I've noticed with frequent flyers is that a lot of times it's not that they don't want to get healthy or they're non-compliant or they don't want to take a hold of their lives. They are in terrible situations. They are in terrible situations. Either they don't have the financial resources to get their medications or the care that they need, or they're in very shitty environments. They have terrible family lifestyle. They're stressed. They have lots of kids. Maybe they're in abusive relationships where there's physical, emotional, sexual violence. And it is very hard to heal when you're exposed to those things. It doesn't matter the amount of medicine you take. You could be diabetic, you could have all these you could be hypertensive, you could have all these problems, and you could take all the pills, you could take your insulin, you can take your blood pressure medications, but if your environment is not conducive, it is going to be very hard to heal. One thing that Dr. Gabor Mate talks about is how in his years of practice in medicine, when a patient comes in, the doctors are always asking, "Oh, what is your medical history? What is your family history?" But you barely ever hear doctors ask, "How is your stress level? Are you experiencing any stressors in your life, family stressors?" And even if they do ask, how many patients are really open to talking about those things? When patients come into the hospital, a lot of them are here for like a fix. They just want to know, "Oh, what's wrong? Let's, fix the issue." And a lot of people are also not comfortable really opening up about the stressors in their life because, oh, I got diagnosed with this disease. Okay, just give me the meds, tell me what I need to do, and I'm gonna go home and do those things. And it's like you can exercise, you can eat right, you can take all your medications, but if the environment that you're in is not conducive for your emotional expression, it's gonna be very hard to heal. It's gonna be very hard to heal. A lot of autoimmune diseases are very common in women. There are studies that show that autoimmune diseases are mostly diagnosed in women, right? And I don't think that is just random. We have been in a culture for centuries, for for a very long time, where women have been conditioned to suppress their emotions. You're not allowed to be too expressive, or you can't talk about your feelings too much, or so many different things. And over time, what that does is that it can raise your stress levels. When you're in an environment that teaches you that suppressing your emotions is okay and you shouldn't express those emotions, you're training your body to you're kind of training your body to allow stress, right? Our emotions are here for a reason. They're meant to be expressed in healthy ways, right? I'm not saying go and blow up somebody's house because they pissed you off. That's not what I'm saying. But our emotions are pointers. They're supposed to be expressed. They're here for a reason. And when you do feel those emotions, you're not supposed to suppress them. You're not supposed to bury them, because what ends up happening is when you bury those emotions, your body has a physiological response to that. The stress hormones, they rise to help you know your body's trying to adapt to the stress and compensate for the stress that you're feeling. And over time, elevated cortisol levels lead to a lot of diseases, a lot of diseases. When you hear somebody just got diagnosed with some autoimmune disorder, and you feel just like, oh my gosh, this person just woke up one day and they have lupus, or they have this, or they have that. Really check, how is that person's environment? How is that person's life? I'm not saying all autoimmune diseases are caused by emotional suppression, but when you hear of all these people developing all these mental illnesses or autoimmune disorders, it's not just random. It's not random. Look into their personal lives. There there's a lot of stress. There is a lot of stress. I don't know if you've ever heard of cortisol face, but it's a real thing. When your stress levels are high, and it's not even just about women, anybody in general, when you're stressed, you look different. You look different. You look completely different. When your cortisol levels are chronically high, you just look different. You look different physically. The one thing I really love about Gabor Mate's work, he talks about how one of the reasons why there's a lot of like addiction and all these problems in the world is because we've been taught that we have to abandon our authenticity for attachment. I was talking to one of my very close friends 2 days ago about just attachment. We're having a discussion. She was telling me something about her personal life. And I told her, I said, it's okay, to want attachment. We're human. It's very human to want to connect with people. We weren't put on this earth to be alone. It's very human to want to connect with people, to want to be attached to people, but it should never be at the expense of your authenticity. And I feel like some things just definitely come from your integrity, from your soul. For instance, protecting yourself it's an innate thing. You know that feeling when someone does something you don't like, and even if you don't really want to talk because you don't want to be rude, there's just an inner feeling like this doesn't feel right. That is that is not random. It is innate. Your soul knows what is meant for you. Your soul knows how to protect you, even when you might deny or suppress that. Your body knows, and if you deny it, it can manifest in things like diseases. This is there's a lot of like studies to back this up, but this is just what I choose to believe. And like I said, um, I was telling my friend that it's okay to want to like love people and be attached and your friends and your family, but it should never be at the expense of what your soul is telling you about your authenticity. If something bothers you, express it. If something makes you happy, express it. And when I talk about emotional suppression, I'm not just talking about negative emotions. This applies to positive emotions too. If something really makes you happy, if something really makes you happy, if something makes your soul come alive, you also don't need to suppress that. If something genuinely makes you feel alive and that is your authentic self, you shouldn't suppress that either. You shouldn't downplay that because of attachment, because you want to be accepted by society or people. It's normal to want acceptance, but not at the expense of your authenticity. I've been looking at the relationship between sensitivity and creativity, and I never really realized that it takes a degree of sensitivity to be a creative person. I never thought of it that way. But the more I did a deep dive and study into sensitivity, the more I realized, yeah, there definitely has to be a correlation because it all makes sense. Sensitivity is something that is very wishy-washy in certain cultures. Some cultures don't really celebrate sensitivity. A lot of cultures, let me not even say some, a lot of cultures don't really celebrate sensitivity. And it's so funny because the things that we love the most in the world, the foundation of the things that we love or we value in the world are based in sensitivity. Think of any culture in the whole world, doesn't matter how different or whatever. Think of any culture around the whole world. There's certain things that just cut across all cultures that we can all agree that we all value. Think of music, think of art, writing, spoken words, movies. It doesn't matter what language, it doesn't matter what culture. We can all say that we collectively, as a race, we enjoy the arts. Even if we don't necessarily participate in creating it, we consume it. Right? We watch movies, we listen to music, we feel so touched by things we see and we listen to and we hear. And it's the sensitive people that create that. It's the sensitive people that are the ones creating all these things. Think of a movie that you watched, or a painting that you saw, or even Substack. Substack is very popular now. Everybody is writing on Substack, which, gosh, I've been waiting for days like this. I used to pray for times like this. I used to pray for times like this, honestly. But think of Substack, or a Substack piece that you read, or a video that you watched, or a song you listened to that just really, 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 really touched you. A creative made that. Now, I can't speak for all creatives. I don't know, I can't say that all creatives are sensitive people, but I do believe that it takes a degree of sensitivity to be creative. You have to be able to notice things in the world that people are not really seeing. You have to really be in touch with all your emotions, both the negative and the positive, to be able to create something. Creativity is like alchemy. You're converting something to another thing. If you think of some of the world's greatest musicians, they can take pain from things like grief or heartbreak or loss and create it to something so beautiful as a song or a melody or poetry. It's so insane. It really is so insane. I listen to some songs or some composers and I think, what manner of experience, what could they have gone through in life to create something like this? Only a sensitive person can create something like this. You know, have you ever experienced something in your life and you don't even know how to articulate that thing or put it into words, and then you come across a song that is literally telling you your life story, and you wonder, it's one thing to experience something, and it's another thing to put it in a form that other people can connect with. That is so incredible to me. you know the thing about sensitivity is that it exposes you to all range of emotions. You feel everything on a deeper level. It allows you to see nuance. It allows you to feel other people's emotions and articulate that in different ways. Like I said, I was in Houston for my birthday about a month ago, and I met up with another creative. He's been making songs since, I mean, I knew him in church when I was like, what, 10 years old? But I'm sure he's been making music earlier than that. He has always been someone who loved music, who loves music. And I was talking to him about, I told him, I said, I really been reading up about the relationship between sensitivity and creativity. I asked him, I said, do you think you're a sensitive person? And I asked him this because looking at him, you wouldn't really think he's a sensitive person, right? Now, I don't necessarily think there's a look to a sensitive person. I don't think you can really just classify somebody based on how they look. But if you were to see him, you wouldn't even think he's sensitive. Like he's very like I asked him, I said, do you think you're a sensitive person? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm a sensitive person. He was saying that sometimes you have to like really pull yourself up, but I'm a sensitive person deep down. And I was like, I would have never thought you were a sensitive person. I would have never thought. I remember one of us had said that, like you don't have to hide your sensitivity or suppress your sensitivity, even though this world is crazy. And sometimes you have to really put your foot down. It doesn't mean you have to be less sensitive. You can still be sensitive and still be strong. Like it's not one or the other. One of my closest friends, my best friend, he is if you meet him, like he's very like you would not even think he's sensitive, but like when it's the two of us, he's very like I'm a lover, not a fighter, you know, because he's a great writer. Oh my goodness, he's an amazing writer. And when I really think about him, like only a sensitive person can write like this. Like his work is so beautiful. And like I said, if you meet him on a surface level, you wouldn't think he's sensitive. But when it's me and him, that nigga a lover. He ain't a fighter. And that's just how it is for me now. Whenever I meet another creative, even if I don't even know them, when I meet a creative for the first time, the person that comes to my mind is, oh, you're a softie. Like I see right through you. Well, I can't, like I said, I can't generalize and say all creators are sensitive. I don't think all creators are sensitive, but I do think it takes a degree of sensitivity to create things so incredible and so beautiful. So when I meet another creative now in my life, I'm always like, I see you under all that mask. I see you because I am you. You are me. I see you. These are my thoughts for the week. It's not really going to be hard to make content like this because I'm always thinking. I'm always having thoughts. So I don't think I can ever really run out of ideas if I keep shooting videos like this because there's always something to think about here. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a good day. Uh I'm gonna go to work tonight, guys. No, let me not say like that. I get to go to work. I have the privilege of going to work. So yeah, we're gonna be positive. I'm gonna go to work. It's gonna be a good night. I'm gonna eat some grilled fish before I go to work. I made some fried stew. I don't even know what I'll call it. I made some stew, but it wasn't really stew. I made that. I'm gonna eat it with grilled fish and maybe some white rice. Yeah. Have a good day, guys. Bye.